How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Big Trouble in Little China from Boom Comics. I think it's actually Boom Entertainment. This is Volume 1, and has the subtitle of, let's get that in focus, The Hell of the Midnight Road and the Ghost of the Storms. Now, even though there's an "and" in there, that's more stylistic. This is one whole story. It's not two different things, so just know that going in. But yeah, this is a comic book sequel to the John Carpenter film, and one thing that really has me excited, if you look up at the top, the very first name listed is Carpenter himself. And if we flip in, first of all, they have this sort of Chinese takeout menu motif going on in the inside, free delivery and no MSG, but Volume 1, the title for Volume 1, and flipping to the credits, or the menu, we see Big Trouble in Little China, the continuing adventures of Jack Burton and the Pork Chop Express, which they really only use here, it's not on the cover, but story by John Carpenter and Eric Powell. So even though Eric Powell is the one who actually wrote the comic, who, went in and did the specifics, you can see the story is actually, part of the story idea is credited to John Carpenter himself, so he had some involvement in this comic, which is always great to see the people from the source material get involved with the tie-ins. And I mean, yeah, Carpenter himself is involved with this, which is great. It keeps the tone consistent. But anyway, it starts off in this part 1 here. You can see the menu motif is repeated. Chapter 1, China is here. But it starts off literally at the very end of the movie, and obviously spoilers for the Big Trouble in Little China movie. If you haven't seen the movie, go and watch the Big Trouble in Little China movie. It is one of my favorite Carpenter movies. It's sort of like a love letter to the Asian martial arts movie, but also a parody of Hollywood's failed attempts to adapt it. And it is great and funny and really, really cool. So if you haven't seen it, go ahead and pause the video and go watch it, because we're going to get into a little bit of spoilers. Try not to be too bad. But at the end of Big Trouble in Little China, the final sort of jump scare is you get this big guy that was on the back of Jack's truck, and we start off right there, right at the end of Big Trouble in Little China, and the monster comes in, and Jack's, of course, really scared, and then you get this sort of where he tries to kick it and he falls over, which is funny, kind of a homage to the machine gun bit with the rocks. But it's revealed that it's not actually hostile. He goes back to see Egg, and it's actually at his friend Wang's wedding. You get to see the party and whatnot. But Egg explains that this was the villain's demon, and since he killed the villain, it has now decided to become his pet now, and he doesn't want it, but it's tagging along with him. So a kind of a funny and cartoony concept. But yeah, he's going to be there as one of the main characters. But Wang's wedding is quickly interrupted by, let's find a shot of, oh, there's some kung fu. But yeah, by this guy. He was a friend of the villain from the first movie, and because he's upset, he's kidnapped Wang, and he's gonna kill him, but then he strikes a deal with Jack that if he can go down this mysterious midnight road and collect the souls of his 3 brothers, the Storms from the movie, if he can bring their souls back so they can be at rest, he'll let Wang go. So Hem, Egg, and their new friend, the demon that he decides to name Pete after his old dog, all have to go down the midnight road, and they literally bring the truck down this, strange and like fairy tale land there. Now, I won't spoil too much of what happens here. I like to show you guys the art, but yeah, I won't spoil too much of what happens, but it's really cool. They get to bring their truck into sort of this fairy tale dimension. They have to go find these jars, and they're held by the seven-headed widow, and it's this really cool and fun adventure. And as someone who really loved the characters in Big Trouble in Little China, was sad that it never got a sequel, but, you know, still a little hopeful that maybe someday it might. Belated sequels are all the rage nowadays. But I loved to see these characters again, and to have it be a direct continuation, because after the end of Big Trouble in Little China, where who we now know as Pete pops up and looks at the camera, that was always something I wanted to know what happened next, and I'm so glad the comic literally picks up right at the end. Now, there are a few things we should get into, but that being said, first and foremost, I want to state how happy I was to see the characters in this world again. But some things people will complain about, as you can see right off the bat. The art style is really cartoony, and this works for, you know, some other comics that are more cartoon-based. Big Trouble in Little China had some cartoony elements, but it had a lot of grunge, and you don't see that in this comic. This comic is cartoony and very bright, like even this opening scene is at night, but it's still got very bright art. Now, this style did eventually grow on me, but I know a lot of people are like, I couldn't get past the art, because it is so bright and colorful, and they felt, you know, even though the art's not bad, that it didn't match the tone of the story. Personally, I noticed it at the beginning, but then I fell right into it, and I was, you know, glad that the bright colors lend lots and lots of energy to the story, and overall, it was a little bit at first, but it grew on me, and that's what I'll say about the art. But also, this really does go for a lot of comedy, sometimes at the expense of the action. Now, it's got a few really good jokes in there, but, you know, they do sometimes, you know, where you could have got a really cool fight scene, go more for the joke whenever they can. And also, like, you get Jack Burton's kind of classic gun there. He doesn't use that too much because he's got Pete now, so he just has Pete do pretty much all of the fighting, you know. So I really wish he'd pulled that more and done more of his own fighting, but it's primarily Pete in this one. So it's a little bit more of a cartoony, a little bit more of a funny version of Big Trouble in Little China, and I know that's not going to be what everyone wants, but overall, I mean, I still fell into it. I really dug it. The other thing, too, is this is actually only, I believe, 4 issues of the series. Yeah, if we flip to this copyright page, you'll always say, yeah, originally published as number 1 through 4. So yeah, there's only 4 issues, so this is a little short, but it's also only $14.99, so it's a little cheaper in regards to that, which I don't mind if they're shorter as long as the price is proportional. But yeah, so there are some faults, and it's really not so much bad as just so much it might not be what everybody wants. But if you hear that description and the things I mentioned don't bug you, then definitely go check this out. And I know there's so many Big Trouble in Little China fans like myself that really want more, and the moment I found out that there was a comic tie-in, I was just so happy and ready to go and grab it. Before I go, there is one other thing that they added that I really, really do like, is in this volume, I don't know if they'll keep it up for the other volumes, Jack always interrupts the story to tell a tale of one of his ex-wives, and they're all these crazy, insane stories, like here's one of his ex-wives who is like her father or something, had like a cult, and, you know, they summon this big worm or something. They're all really insane stories, but the two things I like about these is that they, show that the world is big and the whole world of Big Trouble in Little China is crazy. It's not just Chinatown, it's the world is crazy, so Chinatown's crazy proportionate to the world, but every other place in this world is just like that, you know. So he's got this cult that he sees in the first tale, but there's other tales with other things and other creatures, and I do love that expansion. And it also makes Jack seem like he's had more adventures, and, you know, gives him more of a characterization as a man who's not just did that one thing in China once, but has this whole life full of crazy stories about crazy creatures everywhere, not just in Little China. Now, there is one more thing, and I won't spoil it, but the final tale that he tells of his first ex-wife is really, it just came out of nowhere, and it was really surprisingly good and gave Jack a lot of depth, and it also recontextualizes a piece of the ending of the original movie that it actually made it better. And I was like, wow, I didn't expect that, but that really did a good job there. So the fourth tale that Jack tells at the very end, I really loved it, and the way it recontextualized a bit of the ending of the first movie was great. But anyway, I liked it. I love to be back in this world, and I already have the next 2 volumes ready to go, so I'll get to more of this soon. If you don't like the cartoony and more joking nature, I mean, he's got a big animal pet in this one, you might not like that, but personally, I'm gonna turn off this camera and go read volume 2. But yeah, I'm really happy with this. It was fun. Maybe not everyone will think that, but I liked it. That being said, on this channel I do 95% horror movies, so if you like that, you can stick around. There'll be lots of movie reviews. I do a comic every week on this channel, so more comics coming soon. And to everyone who's made it this far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really do help out the channel. I'll be back again very, very soon. I'll put the comic book playlist down at the bottom, and I'll see you guys again next time. Have a good day.